Hi, I'm Jane Galbraith. I'm going to show you today how to use Audacity to create podcasts. What student doesn't like to use their MP3 player or iPod to listen to music? Well, this could be your student listening to you as on a podcast where you're describing how to solve a math problem or giving them a creative writing assignment. Or they could be listening to other students' podcasts, sharing their stories they've written. Podcasts are a powerful way to share information and for students to capture and collaborate on sharing information. I'm going to show you today how to use a program called Audacity to create podcasts. We're going to use Audacity as our tool to record a podcast. Audacity is a great tool to use because it's free. It's a free open source software that can be used to create and edit sound files. It's a great tool to use in the classroom because it's very easy to use. It has many features including creating, exporting, importing, and editing sound files. We're going to focus today on creating an audio podcast from a microphone input. And it's a good tool because it's supported by many operating systems, including Mac and Windows, and it can create a variety of audio file formats, including MP3, which is what we're going to use today. It's downloaded to our computer, so the first thing you need to do is go to the Audacity website, which is at audacity.sourceforge.net, and this is what the main screen looks like. From this screen, you would choose the platform for downloading. We're going to download Audacity. Choose this, and we'll get the download screen where you can choose what platform to download. I'm going to choose Windows, and we would click on this installer button here. I'm not going to do that because I already have Audacity installed on my computer. But I do want to tab down a little bit, and under optional downloads, we will also need to download the LAME MP3 encoder. It's a plugin that we will need to use to export our Audacity file to an MP3 file. So I'm going to click on that. You'll need to click on the download page, and from here just download a little bit more, and you would click on the Audacity LAME for Audacity on Windows. Click on that, and it would open a browser and a wizard to install that onto your computer. One note is to remember where that's installed on your computer, because we'll need to find that later when we're setting up our preferences in Audacity. So here we are in the main Audacity menu. This is what you'll see when you launch Audacity from your computer after you finish downloading it. Now it looks a little bit scary, this screen, but it's actually so easy to work with once you get used to it. The first thing before we start using it is we're going to set up a few settings that are required for you to use it to create MP3 files. So I'm going to go up under the Edit Preferences menu, and the first thing we're going to make sure is under the Audio I/O tab, make sure that our channel, we're recording as channel 1 mono and not 2 stereo, because if we're recording a podcast, we really only need one track, and that will save a lot of space when you save your podcast. The second setting we're going to set is under file formats. Now you remember we downloaded a plugin to create MP3 files. This is where you would set that up. You would need to click the Find Library and then just point to the place on your computer where that file was downloaded. And once it's set up, it will be filled in right here. And you only have to do that once and you're ready to go, and then you'll be able to export MP3 files. Okay, now we're ready to record. Notice these recording buttons up at the top. They're just what they appear to be, is that you would see on most other recording devices or software. We have the play, record, pause, stop, etc. So I'm simply going to hit the record button as I'm speaking, and that's going to record my voice. So here we go. Mary had a little lamb, its fleece was white as snow. And now I'm going to hit the stop button. And you can see as it's recording, it shows kind of your voice waves there. Across the top, the numbers indicate the number of seconds our recording is. So we have about a 7-second recording. That's the same process you would use to create a much longer podcast. Simply just talk and hit stop when you're done. Now we can also go back and edit this if you'd like. One thing I know at the end, well, let's go back and play what we recorded here. Mary had a little lamb, its fleece was white as snow. And now I'm going to hit the stop. Okay, so obviously at the end, I don't want where I was kind of talking before I hit the stop button, and all this blank space here where there was silence. I'm going to get rid of that. So I'm going to use this select tool up in the top left corner. It looks like just a vertical bar, and I'm going to just highlight all that area that I want to delete out and just hit the little scissors, and now it's gone. So let's go back and see how that sounds now. Mary had a little lamb, its fleece was white as snow. Much better. Okay, now that I'm happy with that, I'm going to save. First of all, I'm going to save my project. It's a good idea to just save your project so that you could go back in and edit it or make changes. You want to save it as an Audacity project. So I'm going to hit Save Project As, and I'm just going to call this Test 4. And now it's an Audacity project, and you can make more changes. Now let's say I'm happy with it. I want to create an MP3 file. We would go to File tab, Export as MP3, and here's where it would create a file with the MP3 extension. I'm just going to save that in my music folder. When you save it as an MP3, it will prompt you for ID3 tags. These are the same type of information that you will see if you're searching in iTunes or on your iPod, where the title, artist, genre, comments, all this stuff shows up. It's a good idea to use that and use it as a genre podcast, so that as people search for this podcast, or if you post it onto a site such as iTunes or something, they can find it quickly. So I'm just going to cancel out of that for now. And that's the basics for recording a podcast. Now let's say we want to get a little fancier. Maybe I'd like to put some music into my podcast to use as kind of background. That's very simple to do too. Let's go up to the Project tab and hit Import Audio. And I'm just going to choose a song that I happen to have here on my flash drive. And it's going to import it. You can import any MP3 file, and it's going to take just a few seconds. While that's importing, there's also a lot of other effects. If you look up on the top bar here, there's effects, and you can add other things into your podcast, sound effects, beeps, clicks, any type of sound you would like. There's also things like fading in and fading out. Can play around with all those effects when you're creating your podcast. Okay, our MP3 file's almost done importing in, and what it's going to do, it's going to lay this track in below the track we recorded. And there we go. So you see the top track is our Mary Had a Little Lamb, and the bottom track is the song I just imported. Now you'll notice the song is a lot longer than the speaking, and I really only want a little bit of music. I really only want some music intro, and then maybe a little background music while the podcast is playing. So in order to get some music to play in front of the podcast, I'm going to move my voice speaking here using this little tool up at the top left, this shift tool, and I'm going to just move that to the right a little bit so that before the podcast there's a little bit of music playing. Okay, then I don't really need all this other music after the podcast because it's ending after the speaking. So I'm also going to use that selection tool again and just sort of highlight the rest of this music that I don't want, and let's go up here and cut. Okay, so now I should have just a little bit of music playing before the podcast and then the speaking. Now maybe I want this music to be a little softer because it is background, so I'm going to just move this a little bit to change the volume of the music a little bit. Okay, let's see how we've got now. Let's play that and see how it works. Mary had a little lamb, its fleece was white as snow. Okay, so that's just kind of an idea of some of the things you can do with voice and music, and it's just really touched the surface. So have fun creating podcasts and play around and use them for your classroom. I hope you have fun and I hope you learned something. Thank you.